Karen Davenbrook tripped my pregnant wife on the sidewalk, and within minutes the FBI surrounded her house. Yeah, sounds insane, right? But that's the moment everything snapped. The moment I stopped being just another quiet guy with a lawnmower and started being exactly what I was trained to be, a federal agent who'd just found his breaking point. Willow Creek looked perfect from the outside. Every fence painted the same shade of white, every lawn cut to HOA regulation height, every neighbor waving like it was a part of their morning cardio. On paper it was paradise. In reality it was a kingdom ruled by one woman in a red blazer, clipboard glued to her hand, and a smile sharp enough to cut glass. Karen Davenbrook, president of the Homeowners Association, enforcer of everything from hedge length to mailbox color. Nobody crossed her. Until that morning. My wife Marisol was 6 months pregnant, glowing happy, walking 12 steps ahead of me holding a brown paper bag and the ultrasound printout we'd been arguing over. Her nose, or mine. We were mid-laugh when the red blazer appeared from behind a hedge like a stop sign with lipstick. She didn't ask us to move. She didn't sidestep. She just shifted her foot, one subtle, deliberate sweep, and my wife went down hard. The sound of her body hitting the concrete, I swear I'll remember it when I forget my own name. The paper bag burst. The ultrasound slid across the sidewalk. Karen didn't flinch. She looked down at my wife and said, "People like you don't belong in Willow Creek." Her tone sugar-sweet, her eyes black and flat. I was at Marisol's side in 2 seconds. Years of FBI training told me to scan first, react second. Marriage rewires that. I just grabbed her hand, checked for bleeding, checked for breath. Her voice shook, but she was breathing. Still, I felt the fear crawl up my throat. 6 months pregnant concrete doesn't forgive. Karen clicked her tongue. "Sidewalk etiquette must be respected," she said, tapping her clipboard like she was reading commandments. "Our bylaws clearly—" "Not another word," I said, low and steady. My thumb pressed against my smartwatch, holding for 3 seconds. The screen blinked one tiny blue chevron. 911 blue. The distress code for undercover agents. Signal sent. Backup inbound. Neighbors started to appear. Mrs. Patel, clutching her grocery tote, voice shaking. "Should I call an ambulance?" "Yes," I said. "Say possible abdominal trauma." And then Logan, the teenage skateboarder with the forever mop of hair, skidded up beside us. "I got the whole thing, Mr. Cole," he said, holding up his phone like it was Excalibur. She stuck her leg out on purpose. Karen's face froze. "Absolutely not. It's reckless to walk that fast." "At the speed of walking," I said. "Rule 14C, she snapped. "Residents must maintain a pace conducive to safety." I almost laughed. Almost. But my wife was bleeding, so I didn't. The EMTs arrived calm and professional, and I heard the sound I'd been praying for, the baby's heartbeat on the monitor. Rapid. Alive. Relief hit like a wave. Then Karen stepped forward again and said, "Rule 7B prohibits emergency vehicles from parking with wheels on the grass." The EMT looked at me. I shook my head. "Not worth it." As they lifted Marisol into the ambulance, I turned to Karen. "You'll give me the footage from the lamppost camera." She smirked. "Those videos are HOA property. File a request. We'll consider it next month." 30 days, I said flatly. 30 days, she repeated, sweet as bleach. I picked up the ultrasound from the gutter, wiped off the dirt, and slid it into my wallet. "Fine," I said. "But add a new rule to your list. Don't trip pregnant women on sidewalks." She smiled that condescending smile again, and I smiled right back. She had no idea what she'd just done. Because while everyone saw a husband comforting his injured wife, I was also an undercover agent quietly activating a federal sting. That night, after making sure Marisol was stable at the hospital, I went back. Willow Creek was quiet, the kind of quiet that makes your skin itch. I crossed the street and knelt at the base of the lamppost. Inside that metal casing was the HOA's surveillance hub, a tiny mesh of cheap cameras, all routed through a private network Karen oversaw personally. Perfect for control or corruption. I unscrewed the panel, slid a microtransmitter inside, and whispered, "Magnolia, this is Echo. Eyes on the screws. Feed cloned. Requesting scrape of last 10 hours. Copy, Echo," came the reply in my ear. "Preliminary review supports assault. We're staging 2 blocks east." "Keep it quiet," I said. She's the face. I want the roots. I locked the panel, stood up, and heard her voice. Mr. Cole, what are you doing touching HOA property? I turned, dusted off my knees. Filing a request, I said. Per your process. You need authorization for that. So do you, I said, and walked away. From there, things unraveled fast. The feed showed patterns, encrypted transfers, secret payments routed through a VPN node in El Paso. That's cartel territory, which meant Willow Creek wasn't just a neighborhood, it was a money laundering front. And Karen wasn't a busybody with too much time, she was the gatekeeper of something poisonous. That night I saw Douglas, her husband, drive home in a black Escalade, lights off. He backed it into their yard, opened a hidden basement hatch, and hauled in duffel bags marked Beautification Fund. At 10 p.m. I had what I needed. Thermal imaging confirmed crates underground flagged with narcotics heat signatures. I sent the report to the Bureau. Magnolia, this is Echo. Confirmed narcotics storage under 14C Davenbrook Drive. The reply came cold and fast. Copy that, Echo. Prepare for containment. And that's when doubt hit me. I sat there in my truck staring at my phone at the ultrasound still tucked in my wallet. My wife's face flashing in my mind, pale, scared, holding our baby inside her like a secret she might lose. What the hell was I doing? I'd promised her peace, a family. And here I was about to turn our neighborhood into a war zone. For a second I thought about walking away, just filing the report, letting someone else handle it. Maybe it wasn't my fight anymore. Maybe I was tired of being the guy who cleaned up other people's filth. But then my phone buzzed, a text from Marisol. A selfie from her hospital bed, a tiny smile under tired eyes. Baby's heartbeat strong. So am I. Don't do anything too heroic without me. And I realized this wasn't about heroics. It was about making sure people like her never had to live afraid of people like Karen again. So I stayed. By dawn, the Bureau was in place. Unmarked vans disguised as utility trucks, agents jogging with fake dogs, every cliché of suburbia weaponized. At 4 p.m., Karen called an emergency HOA meeting, her last show of power. The clubhouse filled with neighbors clutching reusable bottles and resentment. Mrs. Patel brought cinnamon squares, bless her heart. Mr. Johnson, the retired cop, sat with his arms folded. Logan was up front, phone ready. Karen slammed her gavel. This meeting will address the false accusations and illegal surveillance of HOA property by one Mr. Cole. Her eyes locked on me. I stood. Sure, I said. Let's talk about surveillance. Logan plugged in his phone to the projector cable. The lights dimmed, and there it was. The sidewalk. My wife walking Karen, stepping out, the trip, the fall, the scream. The room went dead silent. Karen's face drained of color. Deep fake, she said. Fabricated. It's time-stamped, I replied. Geotagged. 4 separate angles. Metadata intact. If it's fake, it's the most accurate lie in history. Clive. Her treasurer sputtered. You can't show that without board approval. Did you file the HOA's taxes last year, Clive? I asked. Because the IRS might disagree. A ripple of laughter. Fear turning into courage. I took a breath, felt the badge heavy in my jacket, and pulled it out. My name's Ethan Cole. I'm a special agent with the FBI. The room exhaled like one giant lung. Karen blinked. You're lying. No, I said, but you were. The projector flipped to the next slide, night vision footage. The Escalade backing into the yard. Crates glowing on thermal scan. You've been laundering money through the HOA's Beautification Fund, I said. Through a shell company registered to your husband. You've been routing cash for a cartel network out of El Paso. And I have every receipt. Karen's hand trembled. This is harassment. You can't just storm into a private meeting. And the door opened behind her. Agents stepped in wearing city utility vests. One bent down to fix a projector cable and slipped a tracking tag under her clipboard. Harlow's voice whispered in my earpiece. Tag confirmed. Warrant signed. Karen pointed at me, voice breaking. Leave this property, Mr. Cole, or I'll fine you. I'll ban you from the pool. I almost smiled. Karen Davenbrook, you're under arrest for money laundering, obstruction of justice, and conspiracy with a federal cartel. She threw the gavel. It bounced off the floor and rolled to Logan's feet. You can't do this, she screamed. This is my community. No, I said quietly. It's theirs. The FBI swarmed the clubhouse. Outside, engines roared, blue lights flashing against white fences. Douglas tried to run, armed, desperate. He fired twice. I dropped behind a planter, returned fire, 2 controlled shots. One hit his shoulder. Agents tackled him before he hit the grass. Karen stood frozen on the porch as they cuffed her husband. "Douglas," she cried, "tell them it's all a mistake." He laughed, bitter and bloody. "You wanted to be important, Karen. Congratulations. You're the face of a federal indictment." The agents turned her around, clicked the cuffs shut. For the first time she looked small, the red blazer now just fabric, not armor. "You think you're a hero," she hissed as they dragged her past me. "Heroes don't live here. Rules do." I looked at her, this woman who'd built a kingdom of fear out of neighborhood bylaws, and said, "Then I guess it's time we changed the rules." The van doors slammed. The sound echoed down the cul-de-sac, bouncing off perfect lawns and manicured hedges. The illusion was gone now. The fences looked less white. The houses looked real. I stood in the driveway watching the FBI pack up the crates marked Beautification Fund. Each one filled with methamphetamine and cash. Each one a reminder of how deep rot can hide under fresh paint. The sun was setting, washing the street in orange light. I pulled out the ultrasound from my wallet, the edges still creased from the day she fell. All of this, the lies, the control, the hidden greed, started because one woman couldn't stand the idea of losing power. But that's the thing about control. It only lasts until someone stands up. And when they do, it all comes crashing down. Because power without accountability isn't leadership. It's rot. And rot always smells no matter how much perfume you pour on it.